welcome to Father's Bootcamp. My name is Jason Figueroa, and I'll be going through the slides with you for this workshop. And understanding the impact of father's engagements is the topic. The idea of how a student's involvement in school and their success in school and in community in general has a real direct link to their parents' involvement, especially their father. And when we see, as an educator, I've been working in education now 15 years, when you see a family that has involvement in a student, that student success is just different. I think that's well known, especially when you have an involved father. So me being a father, and I don't know everything, and I'm not claiming to be like the ideal dad, but I do think that this is a topic worth having. And so because I'm willing to talk about it, I think it's something that we can talk about it together and have that conversation of what does it look like to be an engaged father. So this is from the Wraparound Service Department. I actually am a wraparound coordinator at Carney Academy. And so, like I said, I've been working in education now for 15 years. And what I've been able to see is that I worked outside of Philadelphia. I worked, in Providence. Now I'm working here in New Bedford. And I've seen the same things. It just maybe manifests differently. I've seen kids in the city, and I've seen kids in the suburbs. I've seen kids that families make money, and I've seen kids that families don't make money. And I've seen all different types of scenarios. And one of the biggest consistency is that I've seen absent fathers. And so there's a father that's physically absent, that literally the student doesn't even know who the father is. And then there's also the father that's living in the house, that pays the bills, that, is there physically, but still absent. And so what I've seen is that those students have different obstacles that they have to face because of the absent father. And that what does it look like to be an involved father? Not just a present father that they know your face, know your name, but they actually have an involved father. And how that involvement changes the direction of the student goes. So, like I said, I've been working in education for 15 years, and so I love my job, and I love that I get to be able to help out families. I have been very fortunate to have people in my life to invest in me. And so the reason why I'm here is because, my father wasn't the best, and I had a stepfather that tried to do his best, but I also had educators in my life. I had a teacher that invested in me, a Spanish teacher actually, that made what was important to me important to him, even though the things that I was talking about was sometimes so dumb and insignificant. He never made me feel dumb. He never made me feel insignificant. And that validation that I received was what made me felt like my life mattered, and that I had to make proper decisions, and that I wanted certain goals in life, and what do I have to do today to be able to get there? Those are the type of questions I used to ask myself as a kid, as a teenager, and all because I've had people in my life help me think that way. I didn't come to those thoughts myself. I had people who push me and be like, hey, what do you want? And what are you going to do to get there? And those type of people in my life, I feel like I got to give back. I got to do the same for other people. And so that's the reason why I'm here. And I'm here because I love helping people be healthy and be the best version of themselves that they can be. And so when we talk about the importance of fathers, I think we all know it. There's no argument against it, but it's even interesting when you see statistics. Right here we have in the bottom, if you see in the bottom, it says Child and Family Research Partnership at the University of Texas at Austin. They have this research that talked about that children who grew up with involved fathers, which we're going to keep on emphasizing that word, involved fathers, they're 39% more likely to get A's in school. So they're more likely to be a student that gets better grades. They're less likely, 45% less likely to get left back, to repeat a grade. That they're 60% less likely to be suspended or expelled from school. That they're twice as likely to go to college, have a stable job in high school. 75% less likely to have teen pregnancies. And then 80% less likely to spend time in jail. And so the statistics are not supposed to be something that's like, these are the numbers and these are the facts, and they're like black and white. It's more of an understanding. It's like, they're even able to study it and even see trends And have statistics would even prove the fact that involved fathers have a positive influence on students. So the question is, how was your childhood? You know, like when you think of what is it defined to be a father? What's the definition of an involved father? What does that look like to you? What are things that you wish your parents did? And how are you making sure that you're doing that for your kids? And for me personally, you know, one of the things that I'm trying to work out with myself is that I have to deal with forgiving some of the things that happen in my life. And some of the people that I have to forgive so that I don't have bitterness when I have to deal with my kids in the same situation. I'm not dealing with my emotional baggage, but it's already dealt with. Because that emotional stuff, it will just pop back up. It's like a beach ball. If you have a beach ball and you shove a beach ball in the water, it doesn't just stay there. You know, the beach ball pops right back up. And that's how our emotions are. That's how, you know, the way that we think about the past and stuff, we shove that stuff down, act like it's not there. And, you know, big boys don't cry. And so I don't deal with that stuff, but I'm just shoving it down. And I shove it down usually with unhealthy things that help me not think about it. And I'm just trying to ignore it, but then it pops up, you know, and when it pops up, it usually pops up with me being angry, me yelling, me getting, you know, frustrated, and it doesn't pop up in positive ways. And so how do I deal with that for my kids? How do I deal with that so that I can learn how to be able to help my kid navigate through it? Because no one taught me, but I'm going to teach my kid. One of the things that we, you know, talking about when we want to raise our children, we want to raise our kids to be confident, independent. And what does that look like? You know, to be able to help your kid know what you like about them, just as much as they know what the things you don't like about them. Something I'm dealing with. I realize I nitpick at the things my kids do. Hey, stop doing that. Yo, why are you running? And I'm always nitpicking at like small things that I'm like, please stop. Don't be so loud. Why are you waking up so early? Like, and I'm always getting at them about things that I want them to change or be better at. But am I also being just as positive? Am I being just as vocal about the things that I like about them? Hey, I like the way you're trying hard. I know you didn't get the answer right, but I saw you try hard. Hey, thank you for, you know, picking that up. That really helps me and mommy out. We really appreciate that. How do I make sure I'm being vocal about my praise for them and praise even their imperfections? Like I said, like you didn't get that right, but you tried. That's what's up. And helping the kid to feel like a unique individual. To sit back, you don't gotta think exactly like me. Here are our core values. These are the things we believe, and I'm not shaking that. But there's different ways to go about these things and the way that we, you know, express ourselves. And so, how do we let our child feel unique? And even the idea of like knowing that my involvement is real. How do I model it for my kid? That my involvement is going to be such an impact on my kid's life. How do I make sure that I'm thinking through my actions? I want my kid to make sure that they say sorry when they mess up. I'll be like, hey, say sorry. And I'll do that all day. But do I say sorry when I mess up as the dad? Like, do I go up to my kid and I sit down with them and I'm like, yo, I messed up, my bad. I didn't have to yell at you about that. I just was frustrated at work and I took it out on you and that's not right. I'm sorry. To actually give an example to my kid and say, this is how it's done. You own it, you fix it. And that's what I expect you to do. Like, how do we model it for our kids? How do we respect our kids? Like the idea that I have to get to know my child. You know, man, I knew you since you were born. And I just like feel like I know exactly what my kid's thinking and I know exactly what my kid's gonna do. But as they grow up and they start getting their own individuality and they start thinking things and having their own opinions and their own perspective, how do I sit back and respect them and actually get to know your own kid? Understand the way they think, try to see things through their eyes. That established connection of like, I'm getting to know you. That builds trust. They see you mess up, but they see you fix it and own it. They build trust and say, look, well, my dad's not perfect, but yo, he fixes things, he gets things done. That's the type of stuff that I think that we all want. Sometimes we just don't know how to go about it. And so how do we actually make sure that we at least at first come into the same idea that this is important and this is something that we need to do as involved fathers. And so to even just pick one topic to talk about is like, how do we handle conflict? Because it's going to arise. Any relationship, any relationship that's in your life, you're going to have conflict. You have disagreements and frustrations. And I don't think the idea is that if you have a good relationship, that means you never fight. I don't think that's true. I think if you have a good relationship, you learn how to fight right. You learn how to go about it. And so how do we go about conflict? How do we actually sit back and plan now how we're going to act like in the moment? Because in the moment, I'm going to be heated. In the moment, I'm going to feel invested in the fact that like, you're my kid and we need to fix this. But instead of in the moment trying to think about what needs to be done and how do I handle that, what do I have already planned now when the conflict hasn't even arisen? What do I already know how I'm going to handle it so that when it comes up and my emotions peak, I already got a plan. And I'm not just saying things I wish I didn't say, doing things I wish I didn't do. That is a plan already in place. And so these are like suggestions that we have. You know, what agreeing to negotiate kind of sounds weird. That's not how I remember growing up, because there was no negotiation. The parent was the parent and you're the kid and you do what they say. But how do we empower our kids? How do we try to listen to them? How do we try to work as a team? As I can see there, that's spelled wrong. Sorry about that. But how do we work as a team? How do I tell my kids that, yo, this is how team works? I can't do my job as a father as well as I can if you're not part of my team. And you being a successful adult is my job, but I need your help. We need to do this together. Have respect of the child. Like we said, establishing connection, building trust. And the idea of like, to ask myself, would I rather be happy or right? You know, like the idea is like, they need to know that they're wrong. But at the end of that, I squash my kid's spirit. They feel like crap. Now I feel like crap. And we lost a connection. One of the biggest things that I've learned in being a father is that I can't do it alone. Now, that might sound crazy when someone is a single dad, but the idea is that even in being a single father, I think that there should be a sense of community around you. I know of a single dad that, you know, he's alone in the sense of he's alone in the house with his kids, but he has a church community that he's a part of, and that church community supports him. I know other fathers that just have, you know, a group of guys in his family, like that's his connect. Like me personally, I got people, I don't do this alone. I got people I call and I'm just like, yo, I'm struggling with this. And they help me out. And so what is your support system? And how are you asking for help? I think in our community, you know, like society right now, sometimes it's not easy to ask for help. And especially as a man, and we have pride, I can't admit that I'm wrong. I can't admit that I'm weak. And I need to be confident. I need to know that I got it all together. But my thing is that I'm very confident. I'm confident in things I do well, and I'm also confident in things I don't do well. I'm confident that I'm not good at it. And so when I'm not good at it, I'm going to ask for help. I'm going to seek how to make it work. And that's me going into different places and saying, hey, yeah, I need help with this and I need help with that. Asking families, asking friends. And so these are different lists of things. I mean, you got your teachers, you got your schools, you got, you know, me at my position, where our focus are families and how do we engage with families and help them. And the Family Resource Center is a huge resource in the community that sometimes I don't feel like people even know about. And sometimes they're even scared about because they're afraid, like, are they going to investigate? Are they going to peek in and like interrogate me? And they might ask questions, but it's just to be able to make sure they hook you up with the right resources. They're like a one-stop shop. You go there and you're like, yo, I need help with this. And they sit back and like, here's a different organization that can help you with that. You need help with food. You need help with getting clothing. You need help with counseling. They even have classes to help parents learn how to parent. It's a dope place. And I know with COVID and stuff like that, there's some things that are limited, but the Family Resource Center in New Bedford is a really good resource that I'm always directing parents to go and to look up information there. I try to hook them up with certain people that I know them. Like, hey, if you call, talk to this person. And that's something you can call the school and they can provide you with that information. And again, just to emphasize, how do we make sure that we're not doing this alone, not in a silo by ourselves, trying to act like we need to know how to do it all by ourselves. but how do we do it in a community? We have other resources of like how to be able to deal with mental health, how do we deal with making sure the students are getting the food that they have. We have the South Coast Community Resource Corps. We have Salvation Army, My Brother's Keeper, and then American Red Cross, the New Bedford Area Helpline, even the JRI Leader in Social Justice contact information is there. All different resources that you can take down, take a snapshot of this real quick with your phone. And for any reason that you need help with, like a New Bedford Area Helpline, you call that number, we help hook you up with resources. These are the type of things that people don't have to do it alone. And I would even want to advocate for these things online. They're not like community-based in New Bedford, but fatherhood.gov, parents.com. These are all different resources that you sit back. Even Sesame Street, all this stuff that was happening with the protests and stuff, I don't know how to handle, but Sesame Street had a little cartoon about it. I sat my daughter down, my wife sat my daughter down, they watched it together, it helped them have the conversation. Things like that, there's different resources out there. I wanna highlight though, Behind the Mask. Behind the Mask on Netflix is a good documentary. I hope it's still on. It's a good documentary about talking about manhood and how we define it and the struggles that it goes by, like the mask that I have to wear to make sure that I'm strong and I'm a man. But how do I actually allow myself to be vulnerable and admit that I need help? It's a good documentary. And this right here, this is a way that you can receive alerts from New Bedford Public Schools. You text the letter Y to 67587, and you start receiving messages from the school district. And you make sure your school has your cell phone number, and then you opt in to receive it, and you receive different alerts, snow days or different things to be able to let you know information, just to be able to let you know, it's like, hey, don't forget tomorrow there's no school. Hey, don't forget, we have this event tomorrow night, and all this different type of text messages that you can receive from your school. And please do not hesitate to contact us. We have family engagement specialists. We have wraparound coordinators. They're all part of the wraparound service department in the school district. They have Spanish speaking. They have Portuguese, Creole, Quiche. We have different resources out there to be able to help families out. And we want to help family. We're not doing it just because we're getting paid. We're doing it because we are part of this community. We want your children to succeed. And we know that it cannot be done alone. It's harder alone, and that we want to be able to be there to support you. So again, we thank you for allowing us to have this conversation. It's just a starter. We really didn't even dig deep. And so we're actually hoping to have this conversation again, to even maybe have a community within this right here, to have a father's boot camp, to really talk about these issues and how do we get together? How do we talk? Maybe we could do it virtually. Maybe we could sit down in a group and, social distance, but how do we sit back and talk about these topics and say, what does it mean to be an involved father? And then let's make it happen. So thank you. Thank you for taking time to listen. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out.